Hey everybody, you're new to Tarkov, maybe dying a little bit more than you expected or not killing as much as you wanted. Well, here's 10 tips in 10-ish minutes that'll help you guys get you where you want to be. Tip number one, don't do hatchet runs. They're just not a good idea. It looks sexy. You see the videos on YouTube of these guys who start out with a hatchet, they find a gun on the ground, maybe they kill someone, they take their kit, next thing you know they're out on a killing spree. But what's really going to happen is you're going to roll up on people with a hatchet that are carrying fully automatic weapons and body armor like this guy and just get laid out. So remember, you and guns are friends. It's meant to be. Don't do the hatchet runs. When you're starting out, all it's going to lead to is frustration of just running out. I started doing a lot when I first played because I thought, oh, it should be easy to sneak up behind somebody, kill them, get their stuff, and then go on a spree, just like I see on some of the other YouTube channels. But all that really ended up happening is I was just loading out the hatchet a couple times in a row because I had really low health after dying and I didn't want to spend the money to heal myself up. And I just ended up dying a bunch of times, killing my ratios and getting frustrated. So remember, stay strapped to get clapped. Number two, prioritize your money spending when you're starting out on these early raids. You don't want to waste a bunch of money on things that you think will help you when they only add like a very, very small percentage of a lift in your game. I would prioritize it all in this order. Buy guns and ammo first, right? You got to have something to fight with. You got to have the right kind of ammo. You want to make sure that you're there effective and you want to be dangerous, right? Secondarily, you need an armor rig. I'm talking chest plates, right? So it doesn't really matter so much if it's a body plate and attack rig or just an armored tack rig. The armored tack rigs are more convenient, right? Because then you can just buy one item that fulfills both roles. But ultimately what you're looking for is you're looking for something to cover your body so you can absorb shots, right? So first you need to be dangerous, then you need to be protected. Then I would say maybe a helmet. Helmets really don't do that much when you're first starting out just because you don't have access to very good helmets. So most of them only stop maybe like a pistol round or just some shotgun shells. But if you come up against a player and they're using a rifle round, you're just going to get dropped. Most of them cannot stop a rifle round. The only one exception that I would say maybe to load out with is steel helmet that just looks really ugly, which is really kind of hard to load out with, right? Because you have to look at your character and just know that you look stupid going into the raid. But it's a cheap helmet and it's got a really high ricochet chance. So out of all the beginning helmets, even though it's probably one of the dumbest looking ones, it's the one that's probably got the highest chance of saving your life if a rifle round does come in. And then super, super low priority in my mind is grenades. Obviously they're super helpful, but I mean, if you're spending money and you're trying to load out and like create a kit and everything, like grenades are super helpful and stuff, but they're more of like a nice to have, not really a need to have in my mind. It's more important to be able to put rounds down range and then maybe take a couple of rounds and retreat. All right, tip 3, backpacks. I've seen a few videos out here talking about beginners and how you should always carry a backpack, and I don't really think that's necessary, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's great to have a backpack so when you go out you can find stuff, you can throw it in and everything, but I would say maybe 90% of the time I don't even load out with the backpack. All I care about is being able to carry a couple of mags. I've got some meds in my alpha container, and I like not having a backpack because when I kill someone, it makes it really easy for me just to take their bag and run away. I don't need to spend time sitting on their body seeing what's in their bag that I want to put into my bag before I run off. I can just grab their bag, dip, get into somewhere that's safe, and then examine everything in there, and then now I've got a backpack. So when you're starting out and you've got low cash, or you're trying to figure out where to place your money, to me backpacks aren't really there. They're super easy to find on either players or scavs, so just pick one up. All right, number 4 is weapon types. Now there's a ton of videos out there on what the best weapon is as a beginner. To me, it's really a lot more about preference in terms of like, you know, do you want like a semi-auto? Do you want something that's more like an SMG, a rifle? Everybody's got their preferences, but my opinion is whichever kind of weapon type you like to go, at least go down through the AK variants. Those to me are the best ones to start out with as opposed to the M4s. The biggest reason for that is because it's so much easier to find ammo, parts, etc. for the AK variants, which means that it's also cheaper. Almost every single scav and scav loadout that you get has some sort of an AK variant, so it's so much easier to scavenge ammo or magazines or anything like that while you're in a raid if you're using an AK variant. And don't get me wrong, I love M4s. I'm a huge M4 fan. I have an AR-15 myself, but you don't want to be in a round and you kill a couple of guys and all of a sudden you're picking up an AK because their stuff's not compatible with your M4, and now you're using a secondary gun that you didn't set up for the way that you like. tip number 5 is if you took my advice and you're rolling down that AK variant tree like I recommended, then you basically got an option between two main different types of rounds, a 7.62 or a 5.45. Always go with the 7.62 in my opinion. They're both nice. You'll see me use a 5.45 many a times, but the 7.62 is a significantly better round. The 7.62 for the most part is going to have almost in every scenario better damage against the player if they're not wearing armor and better penetration if they are wearing armor. If you can't handle the recoil on a 7.62, I totally get that. Some of them are really hard to control, but if that's the case, just use semi-auto. You really don't want to sacrifice that punch just for a little bit of recoil. Just find a way to manage the recoil and go for the higher damage. Remember, bigger is always better. All right, tip number 6, know what ammo is good for what. If you're taking my advice and you've gone down the AK tree, you're using a 7.62, then what you have is a lot less rounds to memorize in terms of types of 7.62 that are out there. But even if you're using a 5.45 instead of the 7.62, as a general rule of thumb, whatever it is, 7.62 or 5.45 by 39, whatever prefix the bullet has, so like a BT or a BS or BP, that's what you want to go with. You don't want to use the PS rounds if you can, or at least if you're buying them. If you pick them up, you know, anything works that you can shoot at people, but if you're buying rounds, you always want to use the B, because B stands for ballin' or bodies, because that's what you're going to make once you use them. Tip number 7, this is one that I learned pretty quickly. Don't loot immediately after a kill. There are so many times when I first started out playing, I killed someone, I got so amped, I just sprinted out there, laid down in his body to go and see what I got off of this guy. Next thing you know, I get killed by his buddy. General rule of thumb, if you see one dude, just assume that there's 2. If you see 2, assume that there's 3. If you see 3, probably just turn around unless you've got a buddy. So just remember, this isn't like Call of Duty, it's not Battlefield 4 or anything like that. It's significantly harder to take out groups of people by yourself. So just be patient, listen to your surroundings. After you kill someone, just kind of hang out for a minute, see if anyone else peeks out, see if you get grenades thrown at you. Just be patient, look around, then go in for your loot, and then get out of there quick because you probably attracted someone else. Number 8, painkillers. These are a godsend. Surgical kits are great when you have a blacked out leg or arm or whatever it may be. Yeah, when you're playing the game later on, you want to have surgical kits so you can repair them and heal yourself up. But when you're first starting out, space is tight, money is tight, painkillers are your friends. You got a blacked out leg, you got a blacked out arm, your screen's got issues, doesn't matter. Just pop a painkiller, your guy will function perfectly well. You'll probably scream while you run, but no big deal, you can still run. All right, tip number 9, pick the right maps for you. I know this one seems really obvious, but it's really important when you're first starting out to make sure that you pick the right kind of map for you. Some people do really well in the urban scenario, some people do really well in wooded areas. It's totally dependent on where you excel, what types of cover and everything, or where your eyes are tuned in to look for people. If you're not sure where you're going, or just in general, you're just getting into the game, I really recommend playing Factory. Now, Factory has a much higher chance of just being a complete shit show compared to any other map, in my opinion, because it's so small. There's scavs and players, and when you first start out, you probably are terrified to go inside of the building that's in the middle. But what I really like about Factory when you're first starting out is you get in, you can engage really easily, but it's so small that once you do get that kill, or if you get into a tight spot, it's really easy to dip out and find an extract really quickly. There's a lot of doors and corridors, so if you get into a bad spot, you can run, within 5-10 seconds, you can be turning a corner and having, concrete covering your extract. So in my opinion, Factory is a great map to be starting out, just kind of learning the gunplay, listening, hearing the sounds and how everything goes, because like I said, it's really forgiving in the sense that you can just dip out real fast and extract without losing all of your stuff. You've got a better chance than trying to run all the way across woods after you've been injured. All right, final tip is accept your death. It's gonna happen no matter how good you are. I've been playing games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, which I know aren't exactly the same, but I've been playing a hardcore mode on those, and I figured it would be a pretty good direct translation when I first started this game, since I've been playing them that way for, I don't know, 10 plus years. It's not the same. You're still gonna die, and even when you feel like you got the drop on someone, if your shots aren't placed right, or they've got body armor that your ammo is not set up to take out, you can still lose. So don't get frustrated with it. Just take it as a learning experience. It's gonna happen. Don't feel like you're bad just because you're dying a lot. A lot of the YouTubers, they die a lot too. They just edit it out. Along the lines of accepting your death is something called gear fear in Tarkov. When you get a gun or you mod a gun and it's really nice and you're super excited to use it, a lot of times people get really afraid to actually take it out because they don't want to die and lose it. But just insure the thing and take it out. You don't want to just let it sit in your inventory forever because you're afraid to take the gun out. Just take it out, ensure it, maybe you get it back, maybe you don't, doesn't matter, but just play the game and enjoy it. And my final piece of advice along the lines of accepting your death is that also doesn't mean be keen to die. What I've learned, and I'm still trying to teach myself, is that when you're in a bad spot, it's not really worth it to just sit there and try to turn it around. Just retreat or assault in a different direction, however you want to call it. Change the terms of the fight. So again, accept that you're gonna die, but don't make it easier to happen. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what kinds of video you guys want to see in the future. But otherwise, I just hope this was helpful and hopefully it gets you guys out there getting some more kills and you got a better understanding of how to get yourself a leg up starting out in this game.